Hello and welcome to this edition of the Audio Spotlight. I'm Tyler Rowland. Just got back from Virginia this week from calling several basketball games. There's some athletes there that you might be interested in looking at. You think of Nate Ament, who is projected to be a top 3 draft pick in the 2026 NBA draft. Some others like Sebastian Whitfield, who are going to Princeton. It was a great event and really looking forward to releasing these over the next week. And one I have today is someone who is highly accomplished in the officiating profession and just won the KHSAA Official of the Year for volleyball and is quite known and respected around the 16th region. And I'm proud to introduce to you Davey Anderson. And Davey, it's good to have you on here. First off, this is going to be, by the way, a happy Thanksgiving to you and your family. This is going to be coming out on Thanksgiving. And Davey, first off, we'll start today. What are you thankful for?
Tyler, thanks for having me on today. I'd say most thankful for being respected and being well-liked and accepted in the 16th region. I am a kind of an import. I came here from the 10th region and played college basketball at Kentucky Christian. And then after I graduated, I got into officiating. So I'm thankful for being accepted in this area.
Wow, that's so neat, and especially playing basketball at Kentucky Christian. What years were you there?
I was there 01 through 04. I was there when Dick Dameron's last season is how I got here.
Impressive. And what was it that interested you in the officiating profession?
I grew up in the business. My father was a head coach. My brother was a head coach. And then my middle brother was an official. And it was really after I got out of college that he said, hey, do you want to think about getting into officiating? You might like it. 21 years ago, I took him up on it and started basketball. And here we are.
So you've done this for a long time now?
Yes, 21 years for basketball and baseball. Then
Wow.
The next fall rolled around, and he said, why don't you think about doing volleyball? Give you something to do in the fall. And then about 10 years later, I picked up football.
How has it been, like, adapting to different sports like that? You've probably watched football games, maybe played it at some point, but to officiate it, like, how much of a challenge was that for you at first?
Yes, being on the official side, if you can be an official in one sport, you can kind of look the part, know how to act, know how to prepare, and know how to try and get better. A lot of that really helped me with volleyball and football because I was a basketball and a baseball kid. Just really studying the rule book, watching film, watching highlights, officials, and the coverage we've gotten the last 10 years is tremendous with what you guys put on and how we can watch ourselves to get better. And I had to do a lot of work to pick up volleyball that I never played or pick up football that I didn't play either.
What makes a good official? I thought it was interesting you mentioned preparation because on the announcing end, I'm a stickler for getting pronunciations, and even then I'm off on one or two sometimes. Talk about like what you do for preparation and what it is that you think makes a good official.
I feel like preparing your body is a big key, is being in shape and keeping condition and be able to run the floor or the field with these athletes. And I think that's a big part of looking the part. I feel like being honest with coaches or honest with players when they ask questions. Do you think you got that right? Was you guessing? What did you see there? I think being very honest and admitting when you're wrong is very, very important. 20 years ago when I started, there wasn't video out there to prove whether we were right or wrong, and you could maybe talk yourself out of it. That's not the case today. If we have a controversial play, by the time we're in the locker room, it's on Twitter or on social media. So I think those are important keys on being a good official. Knowing your rule book. There's too many guys that kind of just get into it and don't read it, don't study it, don't learn the new rules. You might see people administering old stuff that has changed. And so I think staying on top of how the game is changing is a big key.
And you're trusted by students and parents across the 16th region and beyond. I actually find it funny when I'm on a broadcast with Chris, and of course we're way up top looking down. That every now and then moment that comes, I'm like, well, that went out of bounds. I don't know if that went the other way, but, well, that was Davey calling it, so we're going to reserve our we're not going to question that one. And that's the kind of respect you have. And talk about the importance of building relationships with the students, the parents, because you just have so much trust throughout the region and beyond.
Yeah, I really do appreciate the benefit of the doubt sometimes. I think I've been around long enough where I've gotten enough calls right that maybe that one that was 50-50, maybe I just get the benefit of the doubt. We watch these college and pro games. How many times do they go to a monitor and get it right, where we don't have that ability to do that? Mm-hmm. Boy, that would make our job a lot easier.
Yeah, especially some now. The final 2 minutes, it's almost every play. It's like, and it goes, monitor.
Yeah, everything's monitored. They can get the time right. They can get whose fingertips it went off of. They can get the correct number if they missed the shooter or the person who made the foul. If the ball was fumbled, if it was recovered. Just so many of these plays we see that every night they're going 3, 4, 5 times to a monitor.
And what do you think would draw more interest in officiating?
I really feel like we need to get the next generation of younger officials in it and stick with it. We've done a really, really good job in volleyball about getting girls who have played, who may still be playing now with the youth program the KHSAA has implemented. We can get them to work middle school games in the spring once their season is over. I think that really helps. And then once they graduate and they go to Marshall or KCU or Moorhead, and we've got them here close in the region, we can keep them. They always say if you can keep an official 3 years, you may have them for a while. That really helps in volleyball, and I really wish we could do that in other sports. But it's hard because basketball season's still going on at the same time as middle school level, and same thing with baseball. Football, we had a few in the fall that we could get them on JV night or middle school nights and get them working. We did have a handful of guys sign up for it.
Yeah, because volleyball seems to draw. I noticed recently, like some of the games, I think of Bethany Ledford, Emma Spark, quite a few recent players that have gone to sign up for that.
Yes, we've got Carly McCarty, we had Merritt Klinger, we had Michaela Bonzo, and we've had just a lot of these girls around the region that have stuck with it, and now you're seeing them on varsity matches.
Yeah, because Bethany Ledford, and gosh, I always forget the name of it, when they're standing up on the ladder in volleyball matchups.
The R1, we call it, and it's not the chair. There is no chair. It's not tennis.
Yeah, it's tough staying in that spot. I remember Bill Renzi doing that in the state finals, I think it was a couple of years ago, and it's hard to do, and I thought, gosh, doing a good job with that, because it seems like that if you really study and put your mind to, like you said, the rule book and the preparation part, then you can be really good at it. And talk about another part of it, and this is something I didn't learn until last year, Davey. When I started calling games for West Virginia State, I encountered a couple. Paige was on a few of the women's basketball games I called. For one of them, Mario McKissick was on. Nathan Sutton was on. So it was good to get to see them there. But it also blew me away because they've got to be on a good 3 games a week, at least in the 16th region. So I thought, doing those 16th region games 3 times a week, I think that's impressive, like how they're getting out there and trying to improve their game. And talk about just how many are getting in this region they're going to NAI, D3, D2, even some D1 in soccer I know of. Really getting some good experience under their belts.
On that level, you've named the basketball officials. Kenny Kegley does it too. Madison Jones does it. You name Paige, she's on her way. She's got a Division I schedule this year, and so you won't be seeing her. They've worked really hard and spent a lot of money to go to these college camps in the summer and work these AAU camps in front of these evaluators just to get a piece of it. and they'll throw you some games here and then some games there, and then you work your way through. And just like high school, if they're familiar with you and like you and you grade out well, they get more. And as you see, they work their way from small college up to hopefully D1. That's what they're chasing. So it's a lot of time and money and a lot of nights on the road, driving 2-3 hours from home. So what you see with them is helpful for us is on a Saturday, they might work a day game somewhere and then get back here as quick as they can to work a Saturday night game. People don't realize how hard that is on them to work 2 games in a day and drive 2 or 3 hours just to get back here and do it.
My first couple years announcing, and this was a mistake that I made. There was something I thought it was a bad call. I'd say it was a bad call. Now I say that's the ruling. But of course, for every one bad call, there's 100 that are the right call. Yeah, that has to be just mentally, like it could wear somebody down. I always see officiating as like doing a tax return where I work as a CPA, but I had to jog in place as I was doing that tax return. That would be very hard to have to do because I'm had to come from my chair. And how much exercise, because I know you've tracked this, do you get from officiating one game?
It's 3 miles plus a night, probably 3 to 5 on a football night for me, for sure, where I back judge and I'm sideline to sideline, goal line to 40-yard lines for kickoffs. It's 3 to 5 easy. That's counting steps. You've got steps in between basketball where you might be on the baseline, you're taking a step here or there. It's encountering those when I wore a tracker. And then like baseball, the amount of squats you do. You have 2 pitchers that go 100 pitches plus, you're squatting 200 times a night.
That's a good reason to do it. At least if someone's looking to keep in shape, that would sure. Gosh, you could almost eat whatever you want, practically.
Yeah, basketball and football are 2 that we spend the most time on. The other part about volleyball is that's the one where it's not physically demanding, so that helps officials as we get older and maybe we can't keep up but still want to stay involved in officiating some sport. That's where volleyball, that we do have a lot of officials that hang around that couldn't keep up. And it's more of a mental game when you're on that ladder. Standing there for 2.5 hours on a 5 does wear on your legs a little bit. But it's kind of like calling balls and strikes. You may not be running a lot, but your mind needs to be focused and very tuned in to each rally or each pitch.
Yeah, because I don't know how in the world with volleyball. For me, if on the announcing. In football, it's pretty easy to keep stats because I'll call a game, and as whoever's on call or commentary is talking, that's when I'm kind of making notations, updating stats. Basketball, like Dickie Martin method, I keep field goals, threes, free throws, fouls, and turnovers. Volleyball, talk about the players, maybe their backgrounds, and things like that, because keeping stats, it's just so fast-paced, especially when it comes down to calling like a double contact hit, like just as fast as it goes. It really takes another level of mental preparation. Of course, that's he won Official of the Year in with volleyball.
Yes, the pace of that play, and especially at that state tournament level, is very fast because you could have multiple bumps or digs in the same rally. And once we get to the state level, too, you're dealing with assumptions and mercies and Notre Dame that are just loaded with talent that are all going to play at the next level. You get those matchups, they're just like a small college match.
Let's talk about some of your hobbies that you like to do. And now, of course, I know you have your son I know you love and spend a lot of time with. That's one. What are some of your hobbies?
That's going to be the number one hobby the next few years. The last couple months, everything's been ball. So he's enjoying passing and scoring in the basket. He's 18 months, right? So he's getting to be a lot of fun. But first thing I bought after we had him was a camper. It was probably the best thing I did because that forces me to stay away from officiating or stay away from the house and spend time with our friends and families out at campgrounds. That's been a lot of fun. I also came from a multi-acre cattle farm in Bourbon and Nicholas County. My father not only was and a head coach, we also had cattle. So I grew up working, and he still has 100 head of cattle. So on the weekends, I'm down there helping them work the ranch, as they say. That's a little bit of my hobbies outside of this. Pretty different than what I do for a living and work at the bank as a loan officer at Kentucky Farmers Bank.
Yeah, talk a little bit about what you do with Kentucky Farmers Bank. And for what it's worth, Davey did not pay or ask for this, but if you want a loan or something, this is the guy you want to go to. Davey, talk a little bit about your career there.
So I got a finance degree, business administration degree from Kentucky Christian, finance and management. I began as a collection officer, collecting bad loans. So dealing with angry coaches and people who were repoing was what I dealt with day and night when I began this career. And then I moved into lending 3 years after that, and I've been a loan officer ever since. So I've worked in 2 different banks. I've been at Kentucky Farmers Bank my 11th year here, and they've been just a really great bank to work for. They're very communicative, supportive. They love that I'm out working games with schools and players, and you'd be amazed at the amount of people I've been able to help financially, whether it's players or coaches or parents or fans. And that's kind of the most rewarding part, is when these two worlds connect and you can help somebody that you met through sports. So, yeah, we're the last community bank here in Ashland, Kentucky. And April Perry, my boss, she's been, like I said, they're very sports-minded, and they love that I do this on the side.
Davey, what's a cool fact about yourself? Something not a lot of people would know.
I told you this story when last year I finished my goals of working state tournaments. I'd kind of had a goal of working them in all 4 sports. I had worked baseball, I'd worked football, I'd worked basketball, girls, and then last year topped it off working the boys Sweet 16 state tournament. That was pretty emotional and rewarding for me. I grew up going to that like so many people did. My father went for 66 straight years to the Sweet 16 tournaments. He took me always, because I grew up a half hour from Lexington. He saw King Kelly Coleman play, the state's all-time leading scorer at the state tournament. Fast forward all those years later, my first game was Perry County Central in McGoffin County. And so my father was able to be there. He's in a wheelchair now, but still very minded. And he was able to watch that game. And then Ashland played Travis Perry in Lyon County the next game. So he got to see King Kelly Coleman and Travis Perry both play in their state tournaments. So I doubt very many people saw the all-time leading scorer in both state tournaments like him.
That is a neat experience. Yeah, I actually had Travis on the show the night before. Him and Trinity Carr went over to an event. It was pertaining to the Mr. and Miss Basketball Awards. And I thought that was really neat to see. That's probably the only guest I ever had on that was dressed up. It was cool because him and his teammates, Jack Reddick, Brady Shoulders, and Shoulders actually just hit a big 3 in a game to tie it and take it to overtime for him this week. Those guys are doing well, and it's a great story to have because, yeah, gosh, what an experience that would have been to see King Kelly Coleman play, and, of course, Travis Perry.
I'll actually give you another fun fact. I am a part of the Lions Club. I'm part of the Ashland Downtown Lions Club. And I learned after joining that the Lions Club is who puts on the Mr. and Mrs. Basketball to the state of Kentucky.
I never knew that.
Yeah, so our state Lions Club of the state is who puts that on. I actually went to the dinner there a couple of years ago. The local group had a table. So, yeah, that was kind of neat. So I'm a part of the Lions Club that ends up sponsoring the Mr. and Mrs. Basketball.
Last question for you, Davey, coming up. Are there any shout-outs you'd like to give?
Well, I would be remiss if I didn't shout out to my wife, Ashley, who spends a lot of nights at home with me on the road working, or is kind enough to come to some games with the 18-month-year-old now. That's a little challenging, but they did get to come watch me at the Sweet 16 last year and then at Clark County for the volleyball state tournament. So she's definitely the rock of this family. And then obviously shout out to my family, my brother Chris, who got me involved in officiating, my brother Steve, who's come to watch all these events, and my father Billy, Billy Anderson, who's a Hall of Fame coach himself, and really helped me grow up. And
Davey, thank you so much for your time. And we want to say thank you for tuning in and listening to this edition of the Audio Spotlight. I'm Tyler Rowland. We want to wish you and your family a very happy Thanksgiving. God bless you, and we will see you soon.